Welcome to Staying Aligned. If you're a Christian leader looking to stay clear-headed in a world that never slows down, this is for you. I'm Chad Medland. In each episode, we look at what's happening around us and bring it back to one simple question. How do you stay aligned with God's calling when everything is pulling at you? This isn't hype. This isn't opinion. This is clarity for leaders who want to walk steady and stay faithful. So let's get into it.
Good morning, fellow leaders. Good to hear that you have made it through another day and another week. Today, we're going to talk about the weight of saying yes. Now, a lot of people might say, what do you mean the weight of saying yes? Actually, saying yes is easier than rejecting someone, right? But here comes the problem. As Christian leaders, we tend to say yes to pretty much anything and everything, as long as we feel we have 1 ounce of energy to accomplish it. If we have just a couple extra minutes, we feel it's this obligation in leadership that we're supposed to fill that role and say yes to everybody. Now, this causes an immense amount of pressure because we seldom take the time that we need to actually recharge and get ready to move on either to the next thing or the next step in the one thing that God has called us into doing. So when I look at this aspect of pressure that comes in from constantly feeling this need to say yes, I also have to understand that part of this isn't because there's this overwhelming call on me. It's because I haven't set boundaries to let people know that I have limitations as well. So I'm going to offer a different perspective on this today. Instead of looking at it just being the weight of constantly feeling like we have to serve and say yes to everything, or we're some way rejecting that individual, look at the opportunity to say yes as an opportunity to identify, is this what God has called me into? Am I aligned with what he has called me to do specifically? Is this the person that I have been called to lead? Is this the person that I have been chosen to serve at this capacity at this time? And does it contradict what God has already called me into? So maybe I'm supposed to be preparing a sermon for a Sunday morning, and somebody says, hey, I'd really love for you to come and just spend a couple days up at the cabin with my family and I. Just wanted to say thank you. We might think, hey, this is an opportunity to recharge, to grow, to connect with the community. On the other hand, it could actually just be something that's drawing us away from preparing and finalizing our message for the entire congregation or group of people that we're serving that day. So in leadership, no is just as important as yes in setting healthy boundaries and setting up opportunities for us to grow and to advance towards what God has called us to be. So one of the things about this is not just saying yes and no, but how do we posture ourselves in that moment when somebody is requesting of us either help or time or resource, and we go, no, I'm busy. Instead, maybe we should posture this from a position of alignment. Said, I'd really love to join you in that. I'd love to help you in that. I'd love to give you time in that. But currently, God has me in the middle of accomplishing XYZ. You know, right now, God's really called me into preparing for this message come Sunday. I really don't have time to step away from God to go hang out at the cabin, right? Maybe I'd love to be able to give you a hand right now. What I can do is I can call this person or that person and see if they can give you a hand with it. Currently, I'm tied up with what God has called me to be focused on right now. So we posture ourselves still in a position of servanthood, but setting the boundary that God comes first in what he's already called you to do. When you do that effectively, consistently over time, people start to learn that you have boundaries and that they don't cross those boundaries or even try and push those boundaries very often. And I've noticed that when they do, it's usually because it is an emergency and is something that actually genuinely needs to be taken care of. And that's why I want to make sure that we take the time and we think about those things more effectively. It's not just yes and no. It's how can I serve you? Hey, guys, good to see you guys here today. And so the last one that we want to do is like the actual practical steps. What can we do as Christian leaders to make sure that we're not rejecting the people that we've been called to serve, whether they be in the church, whether they be employees, whether they be co-workers? We are called to lead. So how can we lead if we keep saying no? Well, we lead by setting those boundaries first. We show them that our time is important, which also teaches them that their time is important. So today, practical step, identify one area that you've been saying yes to other people when really you should be saying yes to God and no to them, because that will better be able to position you to actually serve them more effectively in your life and in their lives as well. So remember, there's beauty, there's grace, and there's greatness within you. Now go share that in the world today.
For honor and glory!